Okay, this one's going to be pretty short like the last one, but again, it's also done on your own paper. So go ahead and write the date and the page number and the learning target and all that fun stuff in there, and go ahead and put it in your table of contents. And you're going to think back to all those forms that we used before, and we're just adding a step each time. So that's why this one gets to be short, is because last time and the time before you could kind of tell what the slope and the point was. This time I'm just given 2 points. So I don't have a graph, I don't have anything like that, and I don't have any graph paper in front of me, so I'm going to have to figure out that information. Well, I've got 2 points, so the point's not a problem, but the slope, I know how to find that between 2 points. Remember this slope formula we used to have, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So you already know how to do this. It's really just pairing two things. So here's my first order pair, x1, y1. And here's my second one, x2, y2. If I'm trying to find the slope, I just plug that into slope formula, and it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Minus negatives plus positive. Negative 4 plus 5 is 1. 8 minus 10 is negative 2. It doesn't reduce, so I just get negative 1/2 is my slope. So now when I go to write it in point slope form, slope intercept form, standard form, you have the slope just like before, and now I have 2 points, which means when I do point slope form, I can just choose either of the 2 points that I want to plug in. So let's start with point slope form. And fill out our skeleton. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And I'm going to pick this point just to show you that you can pick this point. It doesn't actually matter. So the x value goes here, the y value goes here, and then I'm going to use my slope that I found from using slope formula, negative 1/2. And I'm going to clean it up because minus negative is the same thing as plus positive 4. And then negative 1/2 is just negative 1/2. And x minus 8 is just x minus 8. So that's my equation in point slope form. Now if I move to slope intercept form, this is not new. Using this information, so starting from this y plus 4 equals negative 1/2 x minus 8. I'm just trying to put it in slope intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, which means I want y by itself. So when you're solving an equation to get something by itself, your first step is to distribute or simplify if you can. So I'm going to distribute negative 1/2 on this side and get negative 1/2 x. Negative half of negative 8 is a positive 4. And then I had y plus 4 over here that I didn't touch. So now I need to move this 4 to the other side, so I'm going to subtract 4, because again I'm trying to get y by itself, so I have y equals mx plus b. When I do that, make sure you subtract the 4 from the constant and not the one with the variable on it, because negative 1/2 x and 4 are not like terms. So I'm left with a negative 1/2 x here. And then here, 4 minus 4 just happens to cancel, so I don't actually be like plus 0 here. My y-intercept would be the origin. But you don't have to write that. You can write it as this instead. It doesn't actually matter which way you write it, but normally if there's a 0 added onto something, you just drop it. It doesn't really matter. And the last form is standard form. Remember, in standard form, the x and the y are on the x term and the y term are on the left side, and you also can't have any fractions. And left over in my slope intercept form, I did have a fraction. And I'm going to go ahead and add the 0 back in there. So I did have a fraction, so now I've got to get rid of it. And if you remember how to get rid of a fraction, you multiply everything through by the denominator. So the denominator that I'm trying to get rid of in this case is 2. So I'm going to multiply every piece of this by 2. And when I do that, I get 2y equals negative 1x plus 0 times 2, which is 0. Not finished. The x needs to move to the other side. So I am going to add 1x. And again, these are not like terms. The x comes before the y. You don't have to put the 1 in front of the x, though. You could just put x plus 2y equals, and the only thing left on the other side is 0. It's nothing. So this is your equation in standard form. So that's it for tonight. That's all the new stuff. Technically, nothing's new. I just kind of put everything together that you've learned so far. That's why it's important to make sure that you keep up with your stuff and you keep up with the pace that we're going. If you don't understand something, you get help right away.